Hello, everybody. It's Friday. What a week. It went so fast. Hope everybody's well. Thank you so much, Mr. Hammer. I see you out there. And let's jump in. This is one where it caused a lot of confusion and how people should operate, how they should invest. A lot of very valuable lessons here for crypto, which also are very much the same as equities. And a lot of people believe you need to own 60 pieces of something to build a portfolio. That's not how I work. And I will prove it to you that, I've proved it already a couple of weeks ago that it doesn't work for equities. And I'll prove it that it doesn't work for crypto as well. But there is a nuanced thing you got to be aware of. So let's jump in. Thank you all for being here. And so this is fun. And of course, as we go forward, a ton of valuable lessons, ton of history as well we'll dig into. And this is not financial advice, it's edutainment. So first of all, this came from an article, a piece that Sanjay sent to me, and it was from CoinGecko, and they analyzed a whole bunch of different portfolios. Actually, let me show it to you right now. And they go back, thank you, Robert. They go back and they look at how Bitcoin compared to the top 10 cryptos, the top 25 cryptos, top 50 cryptos, and top 100 cryptos. And you can see, per this, Bitcoin outperforms all. It looks like the top 10 is better than the top 25, which is the same as the rest. And this portfolio and the results is what aroused my suspicion, because I've been in Bitcoin for a long time. In fact, I've been in Bitcoin for 4 years longer than I've been in Ethereum. And I bought pretty much most of my Ethereum in one day back in March 2020. Get in early, get in hard. And even to this day, despite getting into Bitcoin a lot earlier, my Ethereum has performed an awful lot better. And that is the nature of the beast. So let's dig in and see if this is true. But just to summarize this slide real quick, you can see here, based on the full period annualized return over all of those years, and full period analyzed volatility, you would have made 10% on Bitcoin. Note, they only did this out to January 2023 from January 2018. And Bitcoin was coming off of 20K in late 2017. So a little bit of history there for you all. And it's very important to analyze history. And it's hard to believe that, technically Bitcoin's amazing, but it's gone up and down and all over the place. And that's the other part of this lesson today, is to look at the volatility of assets and how they perform over time. But the further you go down the food chain, down to the top 100, you can see the results are different or worse. But they're not too distinct. Now, there are certain years as well that are very, very important. If you look at 2021, for example, the top 50 and the top 100 did a lot better. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to look at history and see if it makes sense to just be in Bitcoin only. Because a lot of people say, in the comments and chat, just buy Bitcoin, forget about all the rest. And that is somewhat valid, but we'll talk about that in a minute too. So the question is, what does the optimal crypto portfolio look like? The multi-billion-dollar question. Now, if you go to Messari, they have built what they call their optimal crypto portfolio. This is from January 13th, 2023, where they take a little bit of about 50 names. Again, top 50, top 40 cryptos, and they basically just take a Sortino ratio to determine the allocation of these. Now, I plugged all these numbers into a table and a chart, and it does not do very, very well compared to the just being in some better assets by no stretch. Some things are winners, the majority are not, and that is probably the most important lesson today. So let's talk about history. Let's go back in time. I'm going to take you back to 2018. I'm going to show you the top 4 performers in the top 50 cryptos, or the top 5 for each year. So if we go back to 2018, the top 4 cryptos with a positive ROI, it's kind of funny. 3 of them are stable coins, and then Filecoin is in there too. And that is kind of crazy. And we picked 2018 because that's what CoinGecko is looking at as well as they go forward. Now, the top 5 cryptos with the highest ROI in 2019 were Chainlink, woohoo, OKB, Polygon, 3rd, Binance, 4th, and Bitcoin, number 5. Interesting. 2020, number 1, Theta Network. I didn't know Theta was around that long. Chainlink, number 2, again, Chainlink. Number 3, Ethereum. Number 4, Cardano. And number 5, Bitcoin. Note, I bought my first Ethereum in March 2020, and it still is performing quite well despite the undulations. The top 5 in 2021. Number 1, the Sandbox. Number 2, Polygon. Number 3, Phantom. Number 4, Solana. Number 5, Dogecoin. God, these meme coins keep sneaking in there, but this is just data, so apologies for that. And number 5, we have OKB again as number 1. This is in 2022. Quant Network, number 2. Polygon, number 3. Lido DAO, number 4. And Litecoin, number 5. But remember, 2018 and 2022 were bear markets. So we see different things happening in those bear markets. Final one is kind of year to date so far, 2023. Highest return so far this year. Aptos, number 1. Solana, number 2, the Graph, number 3, Phantom, number 4, and Lido DAO, number 5. Again, a lot of this driven by ETH staking and stuff. That's a little bit of history. But one thing that's super interesting is you find commonality amongst names as we go forward, which is interesting. Let's look at the best performing 5 cryptos over the last 5 years. And what's stunning about this result, some of them are only 2 or 3 years old. So you don't need to be a long time around to have high returns. But these are those with the highest average returns per year. Sandbox, 2,604%, despite only being around for a couple of years, is the winner. Polygon, 2384, Phantom number 3, Solana number 4, Doge number 5, and Avalanche number 6. And the reason I put in 6 there, that should be top 5 cryptos, but it is important because these top 6 have a huge impact. And I snuck Avalanche in there because sometimes I complain about Avalanche inflation, but it was a top 6 performer. Now, here is a chart going back, looking at the crypto performers over the last 5 years. You can see, most importantly, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, year to date, all that type of stuff. What I want you to cast your eye on is the red line. That is the year 2021, when things went really bonkers. So wouldn't it be interesting to see if we took out those big spikes from 2021, how that would impact results over the last 5 years? Let's go. So you can see here, these, and the reason I added to top 6 is these are the top 6 gainers over the last 5 years. Dogecoin, 2,900%. Solana, I can't read that number. It's like 9, is it 9,000%? Yep. Matic, 14,000%. Avalanche, 2,800. Phantom, 13,000%. And Sandbox, 15,656% return. That is massive. But again, in reality, everybody, it's very difficult to snag the very bottom of these prices. Typically, the insiders have it all wrapped up. But these are just actual percentages that we should be wary of as well. Now, what happens if we take out these top 6 performers, and how does it impact the overall performance? This is what's interesting. Believe me, I'm getting to a point as well. After all these numbers, so the average returns without the top 6 in the year 2021 goes from 1,372% all the way down to 252%. Basically, if you are not in the top 6 or don't have exposure to some of the top 6, you lose 82% of the gains for that year. And that is staggering. 82%. Okay? So, I always say kind of do the work up front to identify the winners, because that will pay off rather than owning a little bit of everything. So when you hear from the Messaris and the CoinGeckos and everything else, again, they assume you have a little bit of everything, and that does not work. Let's look at the frequency of winners since 2018 as well. Another interesting chart. There was one name that was in the top 5 3 times, and that is Polygon. Chainlink twice, Lido twice, Solana twice, Phantom twice, Bitcoin twice, and the rest were all won, like Theta, the Graph, Aptos, DAI, Quant, TrueUSD, Ethereum, Filecoin, Binance, Cardano, Dogecoin, Litecoin, and the Graph. And I did include stablecoins because I just took a pull of the top 3,000 cryptos every year and watch them and analyze them. That's why you see some stablecoins in there too. So remember, this is also very important too. The average crypto since in the top 2,000 cryptos has lost this value or gone to zero. So when they go to zero, you no longer have a record of them. But the average loss of crypto since 2018 is 56.8%. That is kind of stunning. So nearly 60% of your money is gone if you hold an average bag. And this is because there is a radioactive half-life of crypto. Many won't make it. In fact, 98% will not make it. They'll wither away and die over time. So make sure you're not in those. And let's jump into the conclusion right now. This all goes back to key investing rules that we have mentioned many times in this channel. And love him or hate him, he did say this, and I do agree with this. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes very little sense for those who know what they are doing. I.e., if you look at Warren Buffett's portfolio, up until a couple of months ago, he was 50% in one name called Apple. And Apple has saved his portfolio over the last 7 years. The other stuff has not done very well. So that is kind of true, and he kind of lives by it too, although at his conference last Saturday, I think it was, he seemed to forget how much Apple he actually owns, unless he secretly ditched a ton and we don't know about it yet. In addition, most important to everybody, now I don't know if the word degen comes from crypto degenerators, maybe it does, but the vast majority of cryptocurrencies, altcoins, are degenerators, and that is their price charts have a measurable half-life similar to radioactive decay, which typically takes about 4 years. They pop and they wither away. And when plotted on a logarithmic chart here, this is from Willy Woo. Hey Stephen, how are you? It is a straight line down. In other words, most altcoins will lose value over time, guaranteed. And this is because they are often speculative investments. They're not backed by any real-world assets. They have old technology. They're not competitive. There's no use cases. There's no users. All of those different factors impact it. But sometimes they are pumped. And that's what I want you all to be very, very careful of. There are very, very few exceptions to this rule. Over time, like over the last 5 years, there's a handful of names that matter. And everything gets swapped in and out. New names in the top 50. Still, there's a whole bunch of stuff like meme coins and weird stuff like that. But ignore that noise. That's just going to fade away. So remember the half-life of crypto being about 4 years or so. So what's hot in the last bull run will die in this one, in most cases. And that's just reality. In addition, this is, again, to hammer this point home, if you missed out on the top 6 cryptos over the last 5 years, you missed out on 82% of gains. So pick winners, have high concentration, and also rotate. There are winners that spike, and then they shrivel up and die slowly. So remember that too. I won't mention any names, but you can see it yourself on the chart. There are also names that were manipulated and everything else. But the important thing is to look at the fundamentals. They don't matter in the short term because all that matters is hype and pumpers. But over the long term, fundamentals will win. So this is an interesting one. I asked ChatGPT, what is the optimal crypto portfolio look like? I thought this was funny because it's not bad. They said 40% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum, 20% altcoins, but do those. Do your research and select coins with strong fundamentals. It's really quite good. And then 10% stablecoins, so you can use it to buy stuff, make payments, move stuff around, etc. It's always good to have cash. Always at least 3 to 7% minimum cash at any given time, because you never know what's going to happen to the market, and you want to be able to swoop in and grab stuff cheap. So that was interesting. My take is not too distant from the chat. So I do recommend, for safety, capital preservation first, alpha second. The safest asset out there is Bitcoin, despite the volatility. It will fluctuate with the market, but having at least 2/3 Bitcoin is a safe place to go. And of course, some people say, as part of a huge portfolio of your net worth or whatever, at least 2 to 5, and in some cases 10% of your complete net worth. Now, next, I think 15 to 20% of Ethereum, because it's safe and it's deflationary and everything is built on Ethereum. It's the 800-pound gorilla. Still, it's very overvalued compared to other assets we covered in yesterday's video. I'll add here after in case you missed it. And then 10 to 20% altcoins. But remember, if you do pick something, pick the winner in the category that hasn't already pumped. Very important. So if you're looking at a narrative like AI, make sure you pick the winner that hasn't pumped. If you're looking at layer 1, pick the winner that hasn't pumped. That's not called Ethereum. That is so important. And they tend to win over time. But again, the whole place is the Wild West. You can't trust anybody. Pick the best with the best fundamentals, or the least dirty shirt in the laundry, whatever you want to call it, as we go forward. And finally, this is the most important thing, because I know a lot of you, it's human nature not to give up or admit you're wrong or sell things that you bought and you're underwater and everything else. But just remember this little image from CoinGecko. It's a little bit out of date now. They put this together late 2022. But there's a number of deactivated cryptocurrencies on CoinGecko alone. Now, this doesn't include all the other names. But 3,322 tokens died in the year 2021. That was a substantial percentage. It was north of 20%. Now there's north of 20,000 tokens, but that was a big chunk. And year to date, 2022, it was 1,000, but you can expect a lot more to hit. But a lot of people want to kind of hang out for this next bull run. So just be careful out there. I believe in fewer assets, a lot more research, owning 50 different tokens, 100 different tokens, 60 different tokens, some people recommend, is not a winning strategy, everybody, because your winners will be dragged down by your losers, and you won't have enough concentration in the winners to take advantage of it either. So even if you're like 2 or 3% the top 50 names, or 1 or 2% or whatever, the winners won't get you where you need to be, and the losers will drag you down. So watch that, everybody. I hope you like the content. Hit the like on the way out, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the week in recap. Thank you all for being here. It's a quiet Friday, less than 1,000 of you, but love you all, and I'll see you all later. Bye.